guys, my name is Rebecca Lamel. I think most of you know me. But I'm going to talk about my Swiss culture today. And it would really help me if you guys can pay attention, because I know my dad's going to be making some food later on. But that's not what we're looking at. So try to kind of focus with me so we can get this done in the amount of time you guys can all have something to eat. This is Zurich, and this river runs into Lake Zurich. And let's start where my grandma lives. So this is my family. This is my dad, over there. And my grandma Edith, and my grandpa Klaus, and then my aunts Tina, Karen, and Maya. And my grandpa Klaus came to America in 1957 to work as a doctor in Virginia. And it was when he was working there that our last name got its new pronunciation. So my name is spelled in German as L-A umlaut, M-M-E-L, which is the weird letter you saw earlier, an A with 2 dots over it. And it's pronounced Lemel, which is like when my grandpa came to this hospital in America, the lady over the intercom would always call him Mr. Lemel. Because the American version of the spelling of an A with an umlaut is L-A-E. So she'd say, Mr. Lemel, come over here, Mr. Lemel, come over here. So our name was basically changed to Lemel. And that's the way when I introduce myself, I'd be like, hi, I'm Rebecca Lemel. Not, hey, I'm Rebecca Lemel. Let's talk about some foods. This is Burgermuesli. And Burgermuesli is like a breakfast food. And it was introduced around 1900 by a Swiss physician, Maximilian Bircher. And his idea with this was that it would be a good food for the people for the patients in his hospital. The idea is that it's got all these nutrients and it's got fruit. And it's made of grains and cream and lots of, so it's supposed to have everything you need in a meal in this one bowl. And he said he invented it from a strange dish that he and his wife were served while on a hike up in the Alps. And it became popular in the 1960s in Western countries because it's supposed to be all healthy, right? So people who are trying to be all fit, they're like, oh, I'm going to eat this weird Swiss food. What is this meat? Let's talk about raclette, which we will actually be serving a little bit of for you later. And raclette is it's a staple of winter in Switzerland. You don't eat fondue or raclette in the summer. If you ever talk to someone Swiss, you're like, oh yeah, I had raclette, or I had fondue, and they're like, but it's not winter. What's wrong with you? You don't eat it in the summer. And the interesting thing about raclette is you never eat it solid. You're never going to eat it when it's not melted. I mean, I've tried, and it just doesn't taste good. You're supposed to eat it when it's in its kind of semi-liquidy form. And the term raclette comes from the French verb racler, meaning to scrape. So the way that this cheese is traditionally eaten is they'll put this entire round thing of cheese, they'll chop it in half and put it by a fire, and then it melts, and they'll take it and scrape it off right onto your plate. And the things you eat it with potatoes, and these little pickles called cornichons, which we have some over there for you, and little pickled onions. So when you get a plate of tasters, we're going to give you a piece of bread with some raclette on it. It's going to have a little bit of pepper and paprika, because that's the way our family likes to eat it. And you have a cornichon, and an onion on the side. So you can decide if you want to try any of those things. They're all pretty good, I think. Oh, and this cheese originated in the Swiss canton of Valais, which is a French part of Switzerland. But technically, most people think it's a French cheese, but it's actually invented. Toblerone. We have some of that for you guys too, so anyone wants to try some Toblerone. So yeah, Toblerone's chocolate, and it's best known because it's shaped in these little triangles, right? Those triangles are meant to represent the Alps or the Matterhorn. And one thing I don't think a lot of people know about Toblerone is if you look in this mountain, there's actually a little bear hidden in there. And that's supposed to represent Bern, which is the capital of Switzerland, but also the city that the Toblerone was invented in. My dad started making these little plates, and we're going to hand them out to you. So you guys can try those while I'm talking about some of the things that I brought. This is the Swiss flag. The weird thing about it is it's one of the only flags, one of the few flags that's square. It's not a rectangular flag, it's square. And one thing that I've been told people wonder about is the origin of like the Red Cross versus the Swiss flag, because it really is the reverse Swiss flag. I mean, the cross is red and the background is white, but it's exactly the same. In conclusion, this project really helped me and my dad, talk about this a lot, and we don't like think all the time about, oh yeah, I'm Swiss. Yeah, this is great. I'm not just like walking down the hall and like, yeah, I'm Swiss. That's awesome. But, so I really got to look at it, and I talked to my grandpa. That was pretty sweet. And we got to eat some raclette and a bunch of food. And then my dad also dug up some old recipes that his mom made for him when he was little. So he's going to try to make some of those for me. And if I really like them, maybe I'll make them for my kids someday. So it's like tradition is kind of being restarted. So while you guys have the food,
Nice and quiet.
as a comment that I got to get, but there are 4 national languages in Switzerland. It's one country with 4 national languages. Those are German, French, Italian, and Romansh. And I remember I was in Switzerland this one time on a train, and this little boy came up, and I think he was like 6, and he came up to us, and his mom's like, oh, my son wants to practice his English. And we're like, oh, he's 6 and he speaks English, And we know that his natural language is Swiss German. But he started talking to us in English, and he was pretty good, like for someone you'd expect at age 6. He could form full sentences with a verb and a noun and everything. It wasn't just like, hi, I am Joe, nice to meet you. It was like there was full, complete sentences, and we discussed stuff. And then he walked off with his mom, and then his mom was like passing by later, and my mom commented like, oh yeah, it's great that your son knows 2 languages. And she's like, 2? Oh no, my son speaks all 4 languages. My son speaks French and Italian and German. English is the last language he's learning. And like this boy spoke 4 languages. And I'm like, whoa. Fun facts about Switzerland. Fondue comes from the French word melted, meaning melted. When you lose a piece of bread in your cheese, like, you stick it on a little thing and you lose it in fondue, you have to do something embarrassing. And the thing that our family does is you have to kiss the next girl or boy to your left. So if you're a girl, you have to kiss the next boy, and if you're a boy, you have to kiss the next girl. That's like what we do when we're eating fondue. And Switzerland is famous for its fondue and chocolate. The chocolate fondue is actually invented in like North France. And yodeling, just like the cowbells, it started as like a means of communication. They weren't just, oh, I'm going to go stand up on a mountain and scream because I want to. Like, it was like, hey, I need to get someone's attention and I need to tell them what's going on. So they'd be standing on 2 different mountains, yodeling to each other.
Can you yodel?
No, actually, I can't yodel, Matt. I'm sorry. And wherever you are in Switzerland, you're never more than 15 miles away from a lake or a river. So anywhere you're standing in Switzerland, there's a lake or a river somewhere in 15 miles of you. So even though 4 Switzerlands would fit in Washington, if you flattened out both Washington and Switzerland, Switzerland would be bigger because of all the mountains. And that's my presentation.
Okay, any questions for Rebecca?
Hi, Julia. What do you want to know?
Well, Rebecca Lommel, I was wondering if it's so close to summer, why are we eating this melted cheese?
because it's not okay. Because we're being Americans. We're not being Swiss.
You exercise your banking rights in Switzerland?
No, Isaac, I'm sorry. I don't have hundreds of $millions that I need to save in Switzerland.
Suitcase. Alrighty, so when you please fill out the slips for Rebecca and pass them to the right, and when Henry receives the right, see if I can unlock it.
If you look, it's like on the edge.
Oh, it's in negative. I see it.
Can we turn it off?
I thought it would be like just one of the tiny specks on the mountain.